Edward Leialoha, codenamed Torpedo, was born in Aiea, Hawaii. G.I. Joe comic book writer Larry Hama said that he named the character after a famous comic book inker friend from Hawaii named Steve Leialoha. Steve even worked on the legendary Silent issue, A Real American Hero, issue number 21. Do you know Torpedo's connection to Superman? No? Stay tuned while we jump into the tale of Torpedo. Before we start though, I do want to say thank you, whether it's your first time here or you're back for more for watching the channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the content we upload just like this each and every week. Let's jump back to this video. As I mentioned, Ed grew up in Aiea, Hawaii. His Action Force counterpart though hails from Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Anyhow, Aiea is right next to Pearl Harbor and the Battleship Missouri Memorial, as well as the Pearl Harbor Memorial. It seemed from birth that his destiny was predetermined. He naturally picked up surfing and excelled in waterborne sports and quickly became an expert diver, verifying in open water and rescue as a dive master, which all led to his scuba instructor certification. At the same time, he learned how to use a Filipino butterfly knife, not a butter knife, called a balasong, and earned black belts in Kempo, Wushu, and Goju Ryu martial arts, even before he was 19 years old. Larry Hama, though, said that the copy editors messed up here as well. While the file card says Kempo with an N, he was actually referring to Shorinji Kempo, a style based on Shaolin temple boxing. My feeling, Hama said, is that Torpedo may have seemed crazy to his teammates, but that he was probably the calmest and most centered of the bunch. Apparently his prototype file card even used the term psycho chicken to describe him. That was cut later on, of course. Torpedo lived a healthy lifestyle that required a healthy diet, and so he was also a vegetarian. All this training and experience led him to the United States Navy, where he enlisted and went to BUDS training. While his primary and secondary MOSs are listed as S.E.A.L and demolitions, it doesn't truly give him credit to the breadth of his skill set. He's proficient in combat diving with both open and closed circuits for subsurface water insertions. He can conduct ops with rubber raiding craft and the SOC-R, even using the hull-mounted M60 or the 50 cal MGs. He's an expert in SEER, both Halo and Hey-Ho jumps, and all manner of land warfare, which does include insertion and extraction with a variety of fixed-wing and rotary aircraft, as well as things like fast roping, PSD, CQB, and day and nighttime environments, and all manner of NATO weaponry, and, due to his secondary MOS, NATO and Warsaw Pact explosives. He can do anything he needs to get the job done, basically. But that just touches the surface of his combat skill set. And it's this skill set, which is both very broad and highly specialized, which earned him a spot on the G.I. Joe team. In his first mission with the team, which took place in issue 13, Torpedo was on Bravo team with Doc, tasked with recon on a destroyed bunker, and then to help Stalker, Breaker, and Gung-Ho get back to the airfield down in Sierra Gordo. They haloed out of a C-130 at 25,000 feet with chutes opening at just 4,000 feet above ground, and they landed right in the water. I'd rather swim than walk, he told Doc. In G.I. Joe Special Missions, Torpedo was with Deep Six, Wetsuit, Shipwreck, and Cutter in the Baltic Sea. Their official mission was to locate a sunken sub, but that was a cover. Their real orders were to retrieve the harbor master of Kaliningrad, a captain named Bulgakov, who wanted to defect to the United States. During the op, Torpedo and the Joes run into the October Guard, as well as a team that Cobra sent in. But back to the regular series, Torpedo was also one of the Joes who were tasked with defending the U.S. Treasury building from Cobra attack. He was rescued by CoverGirl after a brief detainment, and he hopped right on the back of a Wolverine to help her reload along with some of the other Joes. I'm sure his capture had something to do with the fact that he was in full wetsuit with his harpoon and flippers. Combat effectiveness at its best. Later, the team was in an amphibious personnel carrier off of Coney Island. They'd been tracking Scarface, but had intel that Snake Eyes would be there too. He and Rock and Roll took a Manta to shore where they ran into some beach girls. Destro showed up, but so did Snake Eyes, along with Quinn. Scarface left in a pink Cadillac while Destro pursued him in an ice cream truck, and Torpedo and the Joes followed in the APC. They had to give chase in a transport plane to Libya, but in flight, someone remarked, "What happened to Torpedo?" Rock and Roll said he had to go back to get the Manta from the girls, so he missed the flight. Scarlet said he wouldn't do much good in the sand anyways, but Rock and Roll replied, he's probably getting down to some heavy maneuvers in the sand right now, referring to those beach buddies. In the next issue, Tripwire was called Torpedo. Whoops. In issue 22, some of the rooms were flooded after the pit was destroyed, and Torpedo was helping in those rooms by sealing leaks and starting up pumps, hoping the noise would drown out the sound of his friends' banter. Later in the issue, Torpedo was in Navy ceremonial dress blues amidst a sea of army green as he's one of the first few non-army operators to join the team. They were in Arlington, by the way, for the funeral of General Flagg. Soon thereafter, Torpedo found himself in the marshy wetlands of the Florida Everglades. He was there with Tripwire, Mutt, and his dog Junkyard after dropping in from a dragonfly. They were there to locate cobra elements in the area. They ran into Wild Weasel and Firefly, whom they were able to capture, but the two cobra mercenaries quickly escaped, and they pursued them right into the wetlands, where they ran into Cobra Commander, Zartan, Destro, the Baroness, and a close-quarters firefight ensued. Later, Torpedo was with Snowjob. They took a whale hovercraft to an island atoll in the Gulf of Mexico, where they were met with heavy fire from shore asp batteries. We get our first indication in story of his Hawaiian heritage, as he used Hawaiian slang to insult the cobras firing on their position. Outnumbered, but definitely not outgunned, they pressed forward, unleashing a nasty rocket attack on the asps. The turrets couldn't rotate fast enough from close range, which allowed Torpedo and Snowjob to take out the hydrofoils that entered the area. They defeated Cobra and returned to the last known position of the Joe's freighter called Jane to see her destroyed, but they were able to pick up Tripwire, Deep Six, Doc, and Cutter, who were stranded in a life raft. In issue 49, Torpedo was in a Tomahawk as the G.I. Joe team mounted a multi-pronged assault on the Cobra-controlled town of Springfield. Torpedo was part of the assault team tasked with cutting off power and telecom. During Cobra Civil War, we get to see Torpedo as part of a secondary assault force where they rolled up on Cobra Island in the LCT landing craft tank, loaded up with an assault team and some really heavy weaponry like a Slugger, Rolling Thunder, Havoc, the MBT Mauler, and the bridge layer, which becomes important later when they, need a bridge. In issue 131, when Cobra Commander attempted to invade the pit, the Joe's base in Utah, Torpedo was shot in the leg and injured. He did recover and remained with the team until their decommissioning in 1994 with issue 155. He was a cool specialist, but honestly was not developed a whole lot in the comic book series to this point. He was a relatively silent operator. Silent but deadly, but not in that way, although he didn't shy away from his wittiness. Torpedo was featured in 1985's G.I. Joe Yearbook 4, which was later reprinted as 1990's Action Force Annual. In this issue, he's with Wetsuit and a whale. They see two of the October Guard trying to sneak onto a dinghy from a Soviet submarine. The other October Guard were sneaking onto a Cobra Island, where they all ran into Crocmaster and his alligators. Torpedo ended up knocking out Crocmaster with his butt. Well, the butt of his weapon, to clarify. He's also in the 14th issue of European Missions with Falcon, Cutter, Wetsuit, Shipwreck, and a whale when they run into a guy called the Hydra Viper, and he was leading an attack with a bunch of Cobra eels. When the Hummiverse is called back for duty, Torpedo showed up in issue 162 when he's surfing off a broken beach with LJ. They were on an observe and report mission when they see the Baroness. We get to see Torpedo finally surfing, except at one time with the Manta, I guess, but this is another callback to his Hawaiian heritage with the art on the surfboard. He ends up being injured by the Baroness, though. Later, Torpedo's with the Joe team off the coast of Kaliningrad conducting a VBSS operation on the Aden Explorer freighter. Pirates, which turn out to be Black Major and the Red Shadows, were holding Dr. Burkhart and Prince Nyoto and some others hostage. During the sweep of the top deck, they had a nasty firefight with the Red Shadows, who then brought a giant robot to bear on the Joes. Torpedo, making use of his secondary MOS, took it out with some plastique. When Grant and others were taken hostage by terrorists a few issues later in Sierra Gordo, Torpedo was assigned to the Alpha Team under Flint. Once in Sierra Gordo, they found a terror drone but were captured and taken to the mine below the drone. Terrorists were revealed to be Revanche Bats. They managed to take out the bats and break free of the mine, but not before Roadblock was shot. In issue 203, Torpedo was with Muskrat, Alpine, and Long Range and Ollie Stand, tasked with rescuing and extracting Dr. Burkhart when things quickly went sideways. Dr. Burkhart actually remembered Torpedo from the Aden Explorer rescue operation from issue 188. They run into some insurgents, but they're able to escape to the mountains. Torpedo, again using his demo skills, rigged his canteen with C4 and blew up an insurgent with a trap. They managed to E&E from the insurgents, but ran into another one, along with Ibrahim and his massive Dragunov sniper rifle. Dr. Burkhart jumped in front of Alpine to save him from the 7.62mm round Ibrahim sent down range, but she's confirmed KIA with her heroic act. Back home, Torpedo attended the funeral of Dr. Burkhart. This took place in issue 206. He then attended the funeral of Snake Eyes after the Ninja Commando died in a grenade blast with Serpentor. He got the cover feature for issue 229. It was a shipwrecked Deep Six and Cutter in a whale off the coast of New Jersey. He and Deep Six took a shark down to look for any anomalies, and they ran into some Cobra eels. They're rolling out the Aloha wagon, he said. They had this big James Bond Thunderball-style underwater fight. In issue 231, he's called Torp by his teammates, and he and Shipwreck cover Cutter and Deep Six's, 6, as they dove drove back down to breach the submerged hatch where they found a robotics factory. Afterwards, Torpedo joined Alpine and Muskrat on the Rudadistan-Alistan border to pull bomb strike out, although she was already captured by Black Major. Torpedo blew up their ammo storage, which had no exterior blowout panels. Major design flaw, he said. They're able to pull out with help from Bomb Strike's friend Layla. And to this day, up to issue 270, as of the publishing of this video, Torpedo is helping push back Laura and her Cobra troops as we are neck deep in an all-hands-on-deck snake hunt. Torpedo remains a relatively small yet extremely vital part of the G.I. Joe team and in their ongoing combat operations against Cobra, Revanche, and Red Shadows, and will continue to do so into the future. In the Sunbow series, Torpedo first appeared in an episode called The Worms of Death, which is the third part of the ARAH miniseries. While not having a whole ton of lines, he did appear in 13 episodes, with Cobra Stops the World probably being the one where he shines the most. He even had to be told to can the comedy in the episode. He turned a floating Cobra base into a nifty aquarium with one shot from his harpoon. In Spell of the Siren, he laughs at Lady J for her never having rode Rumbleseed on a shark. He told her to hang on and don't fall off. He loved wearing his wetsuit and goggles or hanging out on land in just like a jeans and t-shirt instead of his BDUs. When he does speak, he's sociable and talkative. He's excited and he uses a lot of inflection and departure from the quote dead fish unquote personality that his file card says he has. This is thanks to Michael Yama, an actor also known for his roles in Marvel's Legion TV series, for lending his voice as the Ancient One for the 2007 Doctor Strange animated movie, and for voicing numerous parts in Todd McFarlane's 1997 animated Spawn series. Torpedo also had his own PSA entitled How to Tread Water. Use your head, don't lose it, he told the kid in that quick little segment. Torpedo was actually one of the few Joes who was not included in G.I. Joe, the movie. In the action figure realm, Torpedo's V1 figure hit toy shelves in 1983, which gave him a black and gray wetsuit instead of the blue from the animated series. In the mid-80s, he was part of a mail-order 3-pack through JCPenney that also included Snowjob and Tripwire. V2 came out in 1997, and he was part of the Night Landing SEAL Raft SEAL mission set. For the next year, he was included with Wetsuit and Shipwreck in a 3-pack. 2003 saw some changes. He was now Chief Torpedo, and Chief Torpedo came with Burnout in a 2-pack. 2004 saw Chief Torpedo in the Valor vs. Venom line, and he was packaged with the Vamp as well as Pathfinder and Big Brawler. He also came with the Built to Rule Rapid Runner. I think it was the only one ever made that same year. In 2008, he went from Chief Torpedo to Lieutenant Torpedo. And that same year found him in the Toys R Us exclusive Sea Command set. In 2013, he was part of the Creo Blind Packs, and in 2015, the 50th anniversary set came out called Vanishing Act, of which he was a part. The box set included Torpedo, Hit and Run, and Zartan. And here is your Superman connection. In 1992, a company in India named Fun School released a figure called Superhero. Superhero is blatantly Superman, from the colorway to the font and the logo on his chest. The back of the card is all about G.I. Joe, so this, I guess, sort of makes Superman a G.I. Joe, right? But the figure used the Torpedo figure, the body of him, with a repaint to become Superhero. And that's it for this one, my friends, The Tale of Torpedo. Jump down to the comments and we'll continue the conversation down there. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you can be one of the first to know when I upload videos just like this each and every week. And check out our playlist. We have tons of G.I. Joe content on there. I'm Jesse, this is JLS Comics, and I'll see you soon.